It was one of the most controversial and brutal wars in American history. Fought in dense jungles, muddy rice paddies, and steamy mountain valleys, the Vietnam War tested every inch of the U.S. Army's strength and spirit. Today, we're diving deep into the story of the U.S. Army in the Vietnam War, their role, their strategies, their gear, and the legacy they left behind. After World War II, the world split between two ideologies, capitalism and communism. When communist forces in North Vietnam attempted to take over the South, the United States stepped in, determined to stop the spread of communism in Southeast Asia. Under Presidents Kennedy, Johnson, and later Nixon, the U.S. Army was deployed to support the South Vietnamese government. What started with a few advisors in the late 1950s soon grew into hundreds of thousands of American troops on the ground. At the peak of the war, in 1969, the U.S. Army had over 350,000 troops in Vietnam, more than any other branch. Soldiers were organized into infantry divisions, airborne units, cavalry regiments, and support battalions. Famous units like the 1st Cavalry Division, Airmobile, and the 101st Airborne Division became legendary for their courage and innovation in jungle warfare. The Vietnam War was unlike any conflict the U.S. Army had ever fought. Instead of clear front lines, the enemy, the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese Army, used guerrilla tactics, ambushes, and intricate tunnel systems. In response, the Army adapted. They used helicopter mobility, search and destroy missions, airborne assaults, and massive firepower to try to outmaneuver the enemy. But the jungle was relentless, and so was the foe. Let's talk gear. The weapons of the U.S. Army in Vietnam became icons of the era. M16 rifle, lightweight and automatic, it replaced the M14. Though it had early reliability issues, it became the standard infantry weapon. M60 machine gun, the Army's general-purpose machine gun, often seen being carried by gunners in fire teams. usmc grenade launcher, nicknamed the Blooper. It gave soldiers explosive firepower in a handheld form. Colt 1911 pistol trusted sidearm carried by officers and support personnel. UH-1 Huey helicopter, not a weapon, but vital to the Army's mobility, used for insertions, medevac, and fire support. Troops also carried claymore mines, tripwire flares, smoke grenades, and wore the iconic olive drab uniforms with flak vests and steel helmets. The Army's mission was tough from the start. They battled heat, rain, disease, and unfamiliar terrain. Booby traps and ambushes made every patrol life-threatening. But back home, another battle was raging. The war's unpopularity grew as body counts rose. Soldiers returning home often faced criticism instead of celebration. Morale in Vietnam dropped. Drug use and disciplinary problems became common in the later years of the war. In 1968, the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese launched the Tet Offensive, a surprise attack across South Vietnam. Though the U.S. Army pushed back and inflicted massive casualties, the shock of the attack devastated American public support. It marked a turning point. Slowly, the U.S. began Vietnamization, turning over more combat roles to South Vietnamese forces. By 1973, most U.S. Army combat troops had withdrawn. In 1975, after the fall of Saigon, the war ended in a communist victory. 58,000 Americans had lost their lives. The Army left Vietnam with hard lessons learned, both in combat strategy and political reality. The Vietnam War changed the U.S. Army forever. It led to a professional volunteer force, new doctrines in mobility and counterinsurgency, and better care for returning veterans. While the war remains controversial, the courage of the soldiers who fought in Vietnam is undeniable. They answered their country's call in one of the most difficult wars of the 20th century. The U.S. Army in Vietnam didn't fight for glory. They fought for each other. Through mud, fire, and politics, they stood tall, doing their duty in a war many didn't understand. We honor their service, their sacrifice, and their story. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon for more military history content. Let us know in the comments, what part of the Vietnam War do you want us to cover next?